How we doing, everybody, and welcome into Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. We're coming back on a Sunday, a terrible, craptastic, what else words can we think of it, Sunday here in the great state of Wisconsin. It was everything that we talked about leading up into this Bears game, everything that could possibly go wrong, went wrong for the Green Bay Packers in that one. So we're going to get into that game. We want to talk a little bit about this Packers game, Packers-Bears, a lot about the Packers and Bears, a lot about the Packers moving forward, what we saw, what we don't like, the regressions of people on this team, the team as a whole, what some of the players had to say. The locker room's kind of disjointed right now. It seems like there's a lot of people upset in there. So we got lots to get into there. But I got Aaron with me tonight here. Aaron from Brutally Honest Sports. Aaron, how we doing tonight on this Sunday?
Man, I do feel for you right now. I mean, we'll get into all that, but we're still sporting the Christmas colors, right? You got the red, I got the green. Why not? Don't give up Christmas yet. But no, doing pretty well. A couple, 4 or 5 inches of snow here expected tomorrow. I hope we do get it. Why not? Make it a little bit more interesting for this January. But yeah, doing all right. Just a crazy day of the NFL. I'll say that. Just stupid things going on. I think a lot of just weird things.
I would 100% agree with you. I would 100% agree with you there. I mean, you got the Chiefs sandbagging, so they don't have to see Joe Burrow and the Bengals there.
Definitely.
You got that happening. I mean, just it was one of those kinds of days across the and Aaron Rodgers comes out and he gives a masterclass performance for the Jets there, possibly in his last game. Like that just is an Aaron Rodgers kind of thing to do, right? Just an Aaron Rodgers way to end it. So, I mean, just one of those kinds of days. After the Packer game was done, I stopped caring. I was done. I was checked out on the NFL. I was like, is this seriously? We were out 2 weeks ago. We were talking about this Packers team. And we're like, they could go on a run. They could do this. They could do that. And I said the other day, I was like, you know what? I'm not worried about going into Philly. Like, I want Philly. I want to get that game out of the way and everything like that, beat that good team. And now it's like, I don't want to go to Philly. I don't want to go anywhere. I really don't want to go anywhere. I don't even want to go to Chicago at this point here because we just saw that. I mean, honestly, Aaron, you think about it. The Packers were a fingertip away from being 0-6 in division play. 0-6. 2 losses to the Bears, 2 to the Vikings, 2 to the Lions. Yes, they won that game. Yes, hats off. Like all the Packer fans out there who want to be excited about that win that they had on the blocked field goal, which is got the win, right? It counts as a win at the end of the day. But it was a blocked field goal that beat the Bears. Outside of that, you didn't beat nobody. You didn't beat nobody in your division outside of a game against the Bears where a blocked field goal had to happen. Like, there's just been so much that has gone wrong for this Packers team. And we come back to it week after week, and we're like, what needs to happen, right? When they're churning, when everything's working, like, we're like, this is a fantastic team. This is a great team, right? Where we keep telling ourselves, like, this team could beat anybody. This team could beat anybody. And then today, and I get it. I saw a comment over there on Twitter, and that's the big, the commenter said, yes, he said Love was out, Watson went out, and Jacobs was out since second quarter, he said. And people are going around saying, like, this is a terrible loss and everything. It's like, why are you, freaking out? Because Love was out and Jacobs was out. And it's like, it's not the way that, it wasn't the loss. I want to get that out of the way. It wasn't the loss. It was how they lost. I don't care that they lost to the Bears. I know Bears fans are all up in arms and they're all up in the air. And they're like, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened to us. And they're all freaking out. And I get that, right? This was your Super Bowl for the year. I get it, right? Great win. You got the win. I love, Caleb Williams looked like a first-round draft pick when he was driving him down the field there late to put him in field goal range to win it. Like, he looked good. Like, I'll give you that win. You got the win. But the Packers looked terrible along the way. And I get it. We talk about it like Matt LaFleur, right? We're like, we talk about Malik Willis, and you're like, Malik Willis, he can make plays and everything like that. And he came into the game and he played well, but play calling. What was going on with the play calling? Play calling was atrocious in this game. Matt LaFleur's game plan was atrocious in this game. I just don't get it. So it's not the loss that affects me the most. It's not the loss. I don't care that they lost. I care how they looked in this loss. I care that you're now going to Philly, coming off a loss to the Vikings and a terrible loss to the Bears, where you didn't prove to anybody what you can do. We keep saying with this team, well, if they just put it together, right? If they just put it together, this could be a great team. This is a team that can go beat anybody. They haven't done it yet. It's 17 games in. And we keep asking ourselves, have they played a complete game this season, right? That's a main question we always ask ourselves. Have they played a complete game? I said the Cardinals game was a complete game. The Seahawks game wasn't. The Saints were, but it's the Saints. Spencer Rattler was playing quarterback.
You're right.
That wasn't a complete game, right? A complete game against a good team. The Vikings struggled right off the bat. The Lions struggled right off the bat. Vikings first time around struggled right off the bat. I get Jordan Love was just coming back. Get that one. Got it. But guess what? You still struggled off the bat second time. You struggled right off the bat with the Eagles. Getting into games, consistency, all those little things that we were like, oh, they'll clean up, right? They'll clean it up. They haven't cleaned it up. And we keep circling back to it week after week after week. We circle back to it. The pre-snap penalties, the turnovers, the little things, the mistakes that you can't make if you're going to go beat a good team. And the excuse we always come back to, Aaron, is, well, they're a young team. They're a young team, right? They're a young team. When does that get old? You're 17 games into a season. Aren't you supposed to be over some of this? Aren't you supposed to get past some of this? And yet it still is rearing its ugly head in game 17. Am I far off base, Aaron? I mean, you watch this game, like this team, this looked like it was a preseason game, or it looked like it was the first game of the season. Like they just looked like they were completely out of sorts all game long. It did not look good.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I don't want to pile on, but really honest sports, I got to be brutally honest. It doesn't matter if it's the Eagles, the Packers, whoever, right? I mean, the same argument can, like, I'm a Caleb Williams, like, I'm not like, I mean, he has his moments, and this Bear, it's hard to judge him. Like, I almost think you have to judge him on a curve. I'll give him that benefit of the doubt because, I mean, that team sucks. Like, I just, that team is not good. But this whole notion that the Packers are young, well, I mean, you let a rookie kind of go right down the field on you, and win the game. Like, so Caleb Williams is young. You know what I mean? That same sentiment can be said there. So, yeah, I don't buy in as that, like, it looks like just, part of the team's going this way, part of the team's going that way, more so than it's the team's young. Like, it just looks discombobulated. It looks like that punt return, right? To kind of get it started. That was like, wow. Like, what did we show up today? Are we still, are we mentally on the bus? Like, what is going on? Like, you can't have that in a game. And like you said, I mean, definitely, you want to find a way to win this game. I know, Jordan Love exits there, but maybe winning wasn't like the ultimate, most important thing. But like you said, the way they lost it and just the miscues, like, I mean, the Bears do that like basically trickery there, and what Keenan Allen throws the pick, like he could have just ate the ball and he just gives you one, like stuff like that. You gotta take advantage of, and like I just said, Malik Willis, being in there, it's not quite the same, but we didn't really see a good Jordan Love either. So it's like, I don't know. This Bears, you got to bury the team like that. I know it's a divisional rival. They hate you. The Packers hate them. The Bears hate them. It is what it is. But that's your opportunity to say, you know what, we're going into playoffs on a high note, even if it is with Malik Willis. It's just one of those things. Like, it's, if you're sitting there as a Packers fan, it's kind of, how do you convince yourself that this team hasn't lost? Like, you know what I mean? It's just, they're just kind of all over the place. And defensively, they're kind of like, there were miscues. Like, even on that last drive, I don't know. They need to, I mean, they have an opportunity still. I'm not going to say they're completely done, any given Sunday, but right now it's just, I don't know where they haven't found it. They've continued to not find it. And the slow, we talked about the slow start. The Bears, theoretically with that punt return got off to a better start. So it's kind of it's put up or shut up now. It really, it's time,
Yeah. And we talked about it going in. We said, you got to come out fast, right? That's the big thing. You got to come out fast. And we said the Packers, if they win the toss, they're going to take the ball first. And you got to go down the field and punch it in, right? First drive of the game, punt. Second drive of the game, punt. Technically, the punt return touchdown happened on your second drive of the game there. So there you go. You punt it again. You let them house it there. So Rick Bisaccia, again, stealing money from the Green Bay Packers. Special team coordinator, stealing our money since I don't even remember when. Like, it's been years now. So there we go. Special teams. Problem again. Third drive of the game. technically after that touchdown there. Field goal. Fourth drive, fumble. There's your start. There's your rumbling start for the Green Bay Packers there. And anybody who wants to defend it, anybody, I'd love to hear it. I would love to hear what you have to say. The slow starts are consistent. They're consistent in every game. Every game. And it's like, how many times do we have the common thread of Packers start out slow, the offense gets hot, they start going, and then fourth quarter rolls around, it's late, it's like 2 to go, and the defense has to get a stop. They have to get one stop. We always bank it on the defense, right? And I get it, right? The defense has to come up with a stop every once in a while. I get that. But you put yourself in these holes. You put yourself in these spots where you're constantly playing from behind. You were down at one point 14-3 to the Bears. 14-3 to the Bears at home in a game where you weren't mathematically out of the 6th seed yet. You were still in it. Yes, the Commanders came back late against the Cowboys to win that one, but you were still in the race for the 6th seed. Not to have to go to Philly, to give yourself momentum going into the playoffs. And you played this game like Matt LaFleur, he plays to survive. He doesn't play to win. He doesn't play to win games. He plays to survive those games. What the hell? What in the heck was that for the 3rd and 2, that late drive that the Packers had there where they kicked the field goal, that 3rd and 2 call, 3rd and 2, runs it up the middle with Emmanuel Wilson. Nothing, right? Loses 2 yards on the play. It actually sets up a farther field goal for McManus. Think back a week, right? The Vikings were in a put up or shut up drive. The Packers, if they got a stop, would have gotten the ball back, could have went down and scored. Instead, O'Connell draws up a little play action dump pass to his back coming out of the backfield, gets the first down. 3rd and 2. It was a 3rd and 2 call. We calling up the middle freaking with Emmanuel Wilson. If it's Josh Jacobs, okay. Josh Jacobs, 2 yards, I expect it. Like that dude, he gets me 2 yards and bam, he's there, right? I expect it out of him. Emmanuel Wilson, not really. The thing that irritated me, they ran that play with 1:05 left in the game. 1:05. At 58 seconds left in the game, the Green Bay Packers called the timeout to contemplate what they were going to do. Go for it on 4th down or kick the field goal. I'm sorry, but you should already have in your head what you're going to do in these situations. But secondly, why do you not let the play clock burn all the way down until there's 30 seconds left in the game and then burn that timeout and then contemplate what you want to do? Instead, with about 24 or so left on the play clock, you call timeout. Giving the Bears, because you kicked that field goal with 54 seconds then, giving the Bears 54 seconds instead of like 30 seconds, which mathematically, basically they're out, right? They're out of it at that point, but you gave them an extra 24 seconds. Packer fans, we know it. Now, I'm not saying that Caleb Williams is Aaron Rodgers, but we know what happens when you give a quarterback too much time. A quarterback that Caleb Williams has played better at times this season. And he showed it on that last drive. He took them down the field and put them in field goal range. Yes, it did help that the Packers, for some reason, don't know why, we're playing prevent defense on a short. They're playing prevent defense. I'm looking at the last play before the field goal. I had it up on Twitter just before, and now I lost it here. They had their safeties playing like 20 to 30 yards away from the line of scrimmage. They were past the field goal target line. Past it. Why? And then you get the quote from Carrington Valentine coming out of the game. I got the quote right here. This was on the quote. This was on him. He was on defense on DJ Moore when he caught that pass over the middle there to set him up for the field goal. And what Carrington Valentine said was, I just did what I was told to do. He said, play outside leverage, try to keep them in the middle of the field so they didn't have the chance to clock it out of bounds. He said, they didn't have timeouts, so I just did what I was asked of me. Okay, so we're playing outside leverage. Why are you playing outside leverage when nobody's in the middle of the field? There isn't anyone in the middle of the field. You dropped everybody back and you rushed 3. You brought 3 guys. And you dropped everybody back. You're playing prevent D. You're up by 1. You're up by 1. We're not preventing a touchdown here. You're trying to keep them out of field goal range. Match them straight up. It's matching them straight up, but we're dropping back like we're trying to prevent a Hail Mary here. And yes, you can blame Jeff Hafley for that. Yeah, blame him. But Matt LaFleur's got a timeout in his pocket. And he understands football a little bit. Maybe he's not a defensive guy, but he understands football a little bit. Why is he not standing there on the sideline saying, why are my safeties playing the freaking goal line down there and the ball's at midfield? Why is Matt LaFleur not stop and play? Don't get it. I don't get it. When your defense is in that bad of a spot, how do you not notice as a head coach? Now I get Hafley's got to be better in that situation. He's got to be better about calling the defense. I get that. And I'm not trying to take any blame away from what Hafley should get out of that. But I'm also looking at it as a head coach, I'm standing there on the sideline and I'm like, that's not how this should look right now. Let's call a timeout. I talked to Hafley. I'm like, hey, Haf, why are we doing this? Like, hey, all they need to do is get to the 40-yard line. Let's bring the guys up. Let's bring them up. Let's prevent them from getting to there. Let's cover this middle of the field up. Nothing. I mean, I from top to bottom right now, this Packers team they're lost. They're lost. And to hear it in the words of Xavier McKinney, this is what he had to say. He said, Xavier McKinney, on what the Packers need to improve going into the playoffs, right? He said everything. He said everything, period. Everything. He said it is what it is. I think it's guys individually. Everybody has to look at themselves and say, okay, what do we want to do? How far do we want to take it? 100%. Like being boldly, like be honest, right? I don't want to hear this Matt LaFleur answer. I don't want to hear any of that. I wanted to hear that. Like basically saying, we're stinking. There ain't much going right now. Outside of, no, I don't even know. Brady McMahon is kicking field goals. That's about it. Like that's the only thing going right at this point. Outside of that, you could look at the defense. You could say there's problems on the defense right now. Pass rush. You could look at the secondary and say there's problems. You could look at the linebacker core and say there's some problems at times. You could look at the offense and say all the way around there's a problem. You just look at this team, and it's like over and over again, we circle back to the same problems. And where does that start? That starts at the top. That starts at the top with Matt LaFleur, and it works its way down. And we talked about it the other day, the emotions of Matt LaFleur. And does that, sometimes is that too much, right? And I thinking about it more, I was like, I don't know. I don't know if the emotions are really a problem. But I'm looking at play calling. I'm looking at getting guys prepared, right? Going into games, script, everything like that. I'm not sold on Matt LaFleur right now. I'm not saying that he's going to get fired tomorrow. Not saying that. He's not going to get fired. I don't think he's going to get fired before next season. But I think you have next season. I do. I think next season the seat's warm. Because after this year, who did you beat? Who did you beat that you can look back on and say, that was a great win, right? That was a great win. Great win, boys. Like, you beat somebody better than you. Great win. You didn't. And you look sloppy in the games when you played good teams. So now it's a question of, where does that start? Are we going to blame Jordan Love for the whole thing? Are we going to blame the defense? Are we going to blame certain players? Like, where do we want to start to blame? I think it's got to start at the top and work its way down.
I mean, absolutely. I think like just that situation where you talk about the prevent defense, breakdown there. If I'm I know the Packers are owned by shareholders basically, but
there's everybody.
Right. There's got to be a majority owner though. I don't know who it is, but if I'm that guy, I'm pulling.
No majority owner. It's stocks. It's everybody. Everybody owns the shares. But that's a big problem that people say is a problem with the Packers, is that there is no majority owner.
He answers? They've had to have like a president of, not even a GM. Like they have to have somebody above that, right?
They got a GM. They have a let's see,
football ops or whatever. President of football operations or something like that.
Packers are a publicly owned non-profit corporation.
I
think they have a meeting.
Mark Murphy, is that current president CEO of Green Bay Packers?
He's the CEO. Yes.
CEO. Okay.
He's the guy in charge. Then it works down to Goody, and then it works down to the rest of the boys.
Right. Well, whoever's like above the, like, I don't even care about the GM above him, right?
Mark Murphy's your top, and then it works its way down.
So in this case, right, like that's who we can point to. I'm pulling LaFleur in by his ear into the office tonight. Like I'm like, look, I know, we can put it on the defensive coordinator. That doesn't matter. Like that's why I rip on Mike Tomlin constantly. Because I'm like, you can have crappy coordinators, you can have this, you can have that. The buck stops at your desk though. Like if you're the boss, like you're the guy, like you're the head coach, that type of situation, I mean, you should be ripped apart for. Like that should never happen. Like I would be, basically the way I would frame it is like we shouldn't even be having this conversation. Like that is egregious, right? Like that type of stuff. I mean, if you lose the game because they outplay, they out scheme you in football, like for them to just like what is that? What are we? You're up 1 point. You're not, like you said, if you just play good defense, whether that be zone man or combination of both, whatever. We're having a different conversation. You're basically saying, take we're not going to let you beat us completely over the top, but you can have a vast majority of the middle of the field in a 1 point game. That just doesn't. I tell Matt LaFleur, like I said, we don't care what Hafley said. Why did you let that happen? Why are you sitting there with, your thumb up your butt in that situation? Like, you know what I mean? That is just, to me, that's just all time frustrating. That's all time, just doesn't make logical sense. Obviously defensive coordinator should have to, pay the price too, but like I said, the head coach can step in and say, we're not doing that. Like that's not, he's been around, all these guys have been around football. I don't care who it is, right? They've been around football, like stuff like that. So, I mean, yeah, you got to look at, we've talked about Matt LaFleur, Jordan Love, obviously, with, he hasn't, progressed the way, but that, to me, that comes back to Matt LaFleur too. Like he's not escaping any of it, and like this, I'm sure there'll be people split on that. Oh, well, Jordan Love should be playing better. It's not all LaFleur or, combination. Like there's always opinions when it comes to the fan base whose fault it is. I don't know, man. There just seems to be like the Eagles last year, right? All that dysfunction at the end of the year. Everybody's calling for Sirianni's job. I mean, like at some point, the head coach has to pay. Like you can't just let guys, just operate this way and it's all good, whatever. Like at some point, where's the accountability? And not the cliche, we're going to look ourselves in the mirror and fix it. And like when it's week after week of certain things trending the wrong way over and over and over, that would be like you or I going to our job and like, okay, week 1, we're not doing good. Week 2, we're not any better. Week 3, you're seeing it more. It's just like, we're going to get questioned. It's the same thing. It's sports. I get it, but it's operation of a team, and it's, who's going to basically, are we going to execute or not? Like, at some point, and the Packers, I mean, you guys have a it's a high standard there. It's like the Steelers. You expect to make the playoffs every year. That's the bare minimum. And just the way this is kind of transpired, you got to at least ask questions. You can't just let this, blow over. I should put it that way.
Let's see here. Brantley Gilbert's got it. He said, "Do you think the Packers would bounce back in the playoffs or keep playing like they have been?" I don't know. That's what I keep saying is we keep saying week after week that these pre-snap penalties, all this silly stuff here is going to go away. And week after week, it comes back and it comes back to bite. And it's it starts in games, the inconsistency in the start of a game there. It's the pre-snap penalties. It's the defense getting stops. It's this, it's that, it's everything in between. It's preparedness of this team going in. And that's what they lack week after week. So it's like, when is that going to change? When are we going to see that change? I don't know. I don't know. And 100% there, Bradley, is it going to change? I don't know, because guess what? It's been 17 weeks. It's been 17 weeks, and in week 17, it all reared its ugly head one more time. So guess what? I don't know if it's going to change in week 18. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to change when we go to the playoffs. I don't. I've always said that this team has such a high ceiling, but they haven't reached it. And that was going to be my next question was, with Matt LaFleur, is I feel like Jordan Love's getting worse as Hunter. This is Hunter, our hockey guy there. He's a Bears fan. He's coming with the Bears. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. You know what? Hats off. I said before, Bears got the win. I'll tip my cap to you. But at the same time, you beat Malik Willis. You beat a backup running back. Christian Watson got hurt. I'm done with you. Like, yeah. Like you beat the depleted Packers offense. Like, yes. Yeah, I
They're
mean, we
not.
suck. They're sucking when the offense is out there as a whole. And then you get a depleted version of it, they're gonna suck even more. So like I don't even know. I don't even know what to say. But I mean, Malik Willis, he did put some good drives together. He made some good throws. I don't want to completely kibosh on Malik Willis there, but the Bears got the win. End of the day, the Bears got the win. But my question is, okay, Jordan Love looks like a shell of what we saw last season in the second half. That's what you paid him for. That's what you thought he was going to, turn into, was that guy. And we know he can be a great quarterback. Right now it's inaccurate throws. It's back foot throws again. It's does Matt LaFleur trust him, right? Because we talked about it last week. He said, why doesn't he scramble? Right? Why doesn't he scramble? Why doesn't he move around? Where's the play action? Where's the play? Where's this play calling that we thought Matt LaFleur was capable of? Why are we limiting what Jordan Love can do? It doesn't make sense. And I keep coming back to it. It's like, does he not trust Jordan Love? Is Jordan Love, like, after the groin injury, does he not trust Jordan Love? Does he not want to see him get banged up? Like, what is the play calling that we've seen over the past couple of weeks from Matt LaFleur? Because I don't trust him right now. And it's like, is it a trust with Jordan Love with this playbook? I don't know. It's baffling. It's baffling right now. Aaron, I mean, so my question is okay, this offense, this team looks like they're regressing from last year, right? We saw them down the stretch last season. This is relatively the same team, and yet they look like they're taking a step backwards instead of forward. And we keep using the excuse of, age, right? We can't keep using that. At some point, we have to come back to, why is it not getting better? Why are we not seeing the improvement of these little things? And that's where I come back to Matt LaFleur. And that's where I come back. He has to be better. Matt LaFleur has to be better in these games. He has to be better getting these guys prepared for these games. Because why against the Vikings I get if you weren't prepared for so much man, but why did it take 3.5 quarters to figure out that they were running man and to figure out what to call? Like, why does it take 3.5 quarters to figure that out? Because, I mean, Jordan Love had 64 yards through the air going into the fourth quarter? That's a problem. That's a major problem. So, Aaron, I mean, is it a problem that we're not seeing this Packers team progress right now?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely it is, because I mean, as a team that with success last year, I mean, I'm not saying every year you got to go to the divisional round. I get it's hard to win, right? It's not everybody's trying to accomplish the same thing, whether it be the Packers, the Cardinals, whoever. But at the end of the day, when you're seeing I lived through it so many times with Carson Wentz. Like, it was just like every week, right? Every week it was, we're going to look ourselves in the mirror and figure it out. And it's like clockwork, where every week was the same thing. And it's like, when you start seeing coaching blunders week after, like, I'm not saying you got to be perfect, but like, if it's like 2 or 3 games, like you play 4 games a month, let's just say, and 2 or 3 of those games, it's mental errors, it's pre-snap penalties, it's coaching, like, just egregious, like, decision making is like, I mean, at some point, like I said, if you or I went to our job and just completely, like, were inept like that, I'm not going to say Matt LaFleur is inept, but when there's a track record of just mistake after mistake, it's like, or the team maybe not looking ready to play, that type of thing, that gets a coach fired. Like, at the end of the day, if you're not prepared at that, I don't care if the head coach is doing everything right, it's not working. Like, whatever he's doing isn't working. That's the thing. Like, you can point to this, you can point to Jordan Love, you can point to the defense, you can point to, but at some point, it's, if the team's not progressing, or, at worst staying the same, they're getting worse. That's just the way it is. It's kind of black and white. And like I said, I mean, I'm sure we'll get into some of that preview of the playoff game, but the season, you don't want to end a season, like, even with Jordan Love going down. I mean, the Bears gave you a couple, like they gave, and then the McManus field goal, okay, now we're right there, like, we have it, right? Yep. But then you don't. Then it's like, that sucks the air out of you, because it's like you start looking around, okay, can we trust the defense? Like, it's just too many question marks going around right now, and you wanted to stop the bleeding with just getting out of there with a win. I think even getting that field goal and then just stopping the Bears, okay, you have something to hang. It wasn't your best game, wasn't ideal circumstances with Love going out, but this is a situation where it's like, okay, now, like, where do we go from here? Like, now what?
Yeah, no, I would agree 100%. And we're going to get more into that on the backside of this break. Right now, I don't know if I got a gas leak going on in my basement right now or if what the heck is going on, but there is an odd smell that's been going on, and I don't know if I should be down here. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to probably jump off, reset up, and then
No
we're going to
worries.
come back. We're going to come back on the backside of it there. So anybody who's tuning in right now, make sure you guys come back. We're going to restart up the stream here. Don't think that we're just ending it. I don't want you guys to think we're just ending it here. I just know I don't have enough time in the sponsor break to reset up. So we're going to hit a little quick break here, come back. We'll talk about this game a little bit more. We'll get into it a little bit more on the backside. So we'll be back shortly with, I guess you could call it part 2 or whatever you want of the show.